The information provided on this show does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice. Instead, all information on this show is for general informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for legal advice, and we recommend viewers consult an attorney for specific legal matters.
Condo and HOA living used to be a lot simpler. Collect the assessments, maintain the property, hold a few meetings, and keep the lights on. Today, communities are managing multi-million-dollar budgets, major construction projects.
It went up again?
Insurance challenges, reserve requirements, new laws, and growing expectations from owners. The reality is, community associations have become businesses, and businesses need systems. They need planning, they need expertise, and they need people who understand how all the moving parts work together. When they aren't, small problems have a way of becoming very expensive ones. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how successful communities really operate and why process matters more than ever. Welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs. Karen is out this weekend. She became a grandma, so let's send all the best wishes to her and her daughter for a healthy new baby. Baby's new name is Logan James Britton, 8 pounds, 1 ounce. I think we got a picture up there, Rob, right?
We sure do.
Okay, it's fantastic. And of course, I want to say, go Knicks! I waited 53 years for this. And last night was one of the most exciting nights of my entire life, I got to tell you. Rob, you ever see anything like it where a team is not happy unless they're down by 15 points every game?
Amazing sports.
It was incredible, right? Every single game they tore your heart out thinking that they're going to lose, and they wound up winning. So congratulations, New York Knicks. But back to condos and HOAs, but let me start with a question. Have community associations become too complicated to self-manage? Now, before anybody sends me an angry email, I'm not suggesting volunteer board members aren't capable. Some of the smartest people I've met serve on association boards, quite frankly. But think about what communities are dealing with today. It's different than it used to be. Reserve studies, structural inspections, insurance issues, construction projects, financial reporting, collections, compliance requirements, owner communication by various means, and of course, new laws that seem to arrive every year. And at what point does running a condo or HOA stop feeling like a volunteer position and start feeling like running a business? Because that's really what many associations have become. Multi-million-dollar organizations with significant responsibilities and significant risk. So today we're talking about the relationship between the board, the property manager, and the management company. What's the difference? Why do owners complain about management companies? Why do some communities seem to run smoothly while others are constantly dealing with problems? And perhaps most importantly, what separates communities that are proactive from communities that are always reacting? And to help us answer those questions, we're joined by Santiago Martin Grossy, Director of Association Operations at Affinity Management Services. Santiago, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope I dressed for the occasion.
We match.
We do.
It's different colors.
It's kind of like a Miami Vice
kind of
style.
Perfect.
Going back to the 80s.
Exactly. And Affinity's been a sponsor for so long. And Raphael, the owner at Affinity, is just a top-notch professional, really great guy, wonderful human being. And I bet that that is reflected throughout Affinity. I'm sure that's what he preaches to everybody. Just be a good guy.
He sure does. And he's very much into educating board members and whoever wants to listen.
Yes, and let me tell everybody, I've been working with him on many, many different videos that have gone up. So if you want to see them, I know they're also on YouTube, right?
Correct, yes. We do have a YouTube channel managed by Affinity.
Managed by Affinity, a YouTube channel that has a lot of videos, some actually, including myself, on various different topics. So I tell you, just between this show and Affinity, there's so much education out there for everybody. So I encourage everybody to take a look. But this may get you in trouble, but why does it seem like every condo or HOA owner and every board member eventually complains about their management company? Why does it always happen?
I mean, there could be multiple reasons, but I would say that the main one is just a lack of alignment between the two parties. The management company is pulling in one direction and the board is pulling in another, and there's a lack of communication.
Right.
And unfortunately, they're both working for different things.
Sure. Well, it happens with me too. Sometimes the board tries to pull me in one direction and I can't go there.
Yeah.
And I want to go there, and I'm not going there. And, you know, management companies have to do the same thing. You know, your idea, your goal is actually to lead them. You know, we're the experts in this area.
Correct.
They should be listening to us, quite frankly, but sometimes they won't. Sometimes you get some stubborn people on the board.
Correct.
No, I'm not saying board members don't have some good ideas sometimes. You absolutely do. But, you know, quite frankly, the majority of the time you should be listening to the professionals that you hired.
Correct. Yeah, I always say sometimes we're going to say things that you don't want to hear.
That's my job, you know that? I tell people that all the time. My job is to say things you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way of putting it.
I tell them all the time, it's like, you're going to make the ultimate decision. That's your role as a board member. But at least let us give you our feedback so you can make the best decision possible.
Yeah, let us even get the words out of my mouth, you know,
Right.
of course. And here's the question, you know, have community associations just become too complicated to self-manage? Now, before you answer that question, let me just say this, you know, it isn't about whether board members are smart enough, because I'll say this, many are doctors, lawyers, engineers, business owners, executives, and the question is whether volunteers can reasonably be expected to operate a multi-million-dollar corporation without professional systems, without professional support. And, you know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is most board members are, well, all board members are volunteers, and they typically have other jobs.
Yeah.
And I find it kind of difficult for them to be able to manage a multi-million-dollar organization, which is their nonprofit, while also, you know, living their lives and working their regular 9 to 5 for the most part.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and another thing is you are running a business, so you need to have processes and systems in place. What I see a lot when it comes to self-managed communities is that if the manager that they have leaves, they don't know where to start. They don't know where to begin. And then the next person comes in and they change everything that was being done before because there's nothing in writing. It's basically they're kind of reinventing the wheel over and over again.
So you have those self-managed communities, of course, they're out there. There was even a bill that was floated this year in the Florida legislature, though, that would have mandated communities with a budget of $500,000 or more to have a management company. You know, I can tell you, I was in support of the bill. I absolutely was in support of the bill. If you're running a community with $500,000 or more budget, that's a business. There's no question that that's a business. You know, how do you feel about it?
I would agree. I think it provides the board that extra layer of support that they need. If an association is self-managed and they have a manager on site, who's holding that manager accountable?
Well, I'm talking about an association that has no manager whatsoever. You know, what about those type of communities where the board thinks that they can do it themselves with not even a manager in place? Is it possible at this point?
I would say no.
Yeah.
It's just because there's too many intricacies, there's too many regulations, there's many things that go into play where they may be doing things for the best interests of the association, but most likely they're going to miss something in the process. When you're with a managed entity or a professional entity, they're going through the regulations. They have processes to hold the team accountable. They have processes to, you know, all the checks and balances that a non-managed community.
You have to take legal updates every year.
Correct.
Yeah. You know, you got to learn the new laws that are happening. You know, if you just look at records, there's been so many changes to records that a self-managed community, I don't think, would know. There's new laws regarding how you have to store the records. Now they have to be stored in a manner that makes it easy for people to find. You can't just say, oh, the records are in that room somewhere in the boxes, right? If someone asks for the records, it's got to be with a checklist. You got to create that checklist. You got to mark that checklist, what you gave them, what you didn't give them. There's rules regarding taking those records and putting them on the association website. And if it's a record that belongs on the association website, it's got to go up there within 30 days. You have to maintain the association website. You got to create the association website. And that's very, very hard to do if you're a board with absolutely no manager whatsoever. How do you do it? Especially like you said, they're working.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that a lot when we're taking on associations that have decided to go professionally managed. When we're doing the transition and we're going through our compliance checklist, identifying that all the things that need to be done compliance-wise are done or received. And you'd be amazed, I would say maybe 90% of those associations, they're not in compliance.
They're not compliant.
They're not compliant.
With various different things.
With various different things that are mandated by the state.
Right. Well, sometimes it's the education requirements.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes, like we said, I deal with that all the time. Sometimes it's the way they deal with records.
Yeah. It could be as simple as the MRTA, the 30-year recertification. Half the people don't know what that is.
I'm still dealing with that. And for those out there that are listening from an HOA, just let's tell everybody what that is. The Florida Marketable Record Title Act, MRTA. So, and I have this going on right now with two or three associations where let's teach it this way. If you live in a condo, right, your documents never expire. They're going to be there forever. 100 years from now, we'll still be talking about your declaration of condominium. In an HOA, it doesn't work that way. In an HOA, your documents can expire in 30 years after your developer built your community if they're not properly preserved, and it's very easy to properly preserve them. Basically, you fill out a certain form that the legislature has created for you. You record that form in the county where the property is located, and you're good for another 30 years, right? Well, what's happening? People blow the deadline, and guess what? All of a sudden, you live in a community, right, with absolutely no governing documents governing your community. There is no declaration. There's nothing, and including the responsibility to pay assessments. You don't even have to pay assessments. So you're saying, now let's circle back around, you're saying in communities that don't have managers, you're much more likely to see that the documents have expired. I guess that's what you're running into. Nobody's keeping track of it.
Correct, yes. Because although a non-managed community may have a licensed manager, that's one individual. So the board typically leans on that one individual, but there's no accountability further than that individual.
Yeah,
so
if you have it in-house.
So if you have it in-house, correct. So that individual is holding themselves accountable, and they may be doing very good work on day-to-day, but they might not be keeping up with all the regulations. They may not be asking the right questions. They may not be involved in the different networking events that are in our industry that provide us with those details.
And I'm finding, of course, with those communities that don't have any manager whatsoever because they want to manage the community on their own. I admire the fact that you want to do it, but those perhaps are the communities where the documents expire as well, where there's no manager whatsoever.
Correct.
Never mind even just being, managed with an in-house cam. But yes, so there's backup when it comes to an association with a management company as opposed to a self-managed community.
Yeah, I mean, backup, resources, someone to talk to aside from the manager you have on site, to get second opinions. I don't understand why board, and I'm a board member myself. I'm actually a treasurer in an association in Miami Beach. I don't know why board members would want to take on that responsibility.
Right.
It's hard as it is that they already have the fiduciary duty to make all the decisions and whatnot, but why not rely on different entities that will help them guide? And you could correct me if I'm wrong, you probably know this better than I, but a couple of years ago, there was some change in statute or some change with how insurance companies were looking at claims. And I believe that there was a change where the board members could be at fault personally where the insurance won't cover them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're putting themselves in that position, I just don't see why they wouldn't consider.
I agree. And then they get frustrated, and then they complain that this job is too hard. And it's too hard because either you don't have enough help, right? Or you're not listening to your help. The way I see a board member's job, at least the way it should be, is that board members should go to the meeting once a month, twice a month, whatever it may be. They should be advised by the manager as to what's going on. They should be given a set of financials. This is where we're at the moment. And if they want, they could have their attorney there if there's certain legal issues coming up. Issues come up, motions are made, they're voted upon, and I'll see you next month.
Yeah.
Right? If things were done that way, and it's done the proper way, your life would be so much easier. But sometimes, I don't even know if we should say this, but they make it harder on themselves.
Yes.
Because they don't want to get the help, and even if they do get the help, they don't want to listen to the help.
Correct.
So,
I mean, I think listening is the key, because at the end of the day, they are going to make the decision that they're going to make, and the board members are going to get together and motion, and either agree or not. But yeah, I think that's very important, at least for the board members themselves, your volunteers. You should feel a level of confidence with your management entity that you're actually listening to what they're telling you.
And you may otherwise, why have them?
Why have them? And I'm not saying that they have to agree, but at least they could get that information so they can make educated decisions.
Sure. Well, you know what? Maybe people don't realize just how much a management company like Affinity can actually do for you behind the scenes, because many people think that property management, what do? They collect the dues for us, they speak to some vendors for us. But really, that isn't the truth. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Maybe in the 80s,
right.
when
Tell us,
when the
how much more do you do?
There's so much more. We keep track of all the compliance items. We work with our attorney partners to make sure that the associations are up to par. We remind the board members of the things that they need to be keeping an eye on. If we see the need, we schedule things with our partners so they could get educated as to this is why this needs to be done.
Sure.
Yes, to keep it simplistic, the day-to-day operations needs to function. It is a business. I like to consider ourselves business managers. So we need to run the day-to-day business. We need to set protocols based on what the board is looking to accomplish. But at the same time, there's a lot of other stuff that the industry throws your way.
What about making the budget, helping make the budget? That's a big
budget,
one.
Reviewing their financials every month and going over variances and identifying, are we overspending? What's their cash position? There's just so much more nuances that go into it. And I think that's the issue sometimes, where the view is 30,000 foot, but sometimes you do have to go into the little details to make sure that you don't miss a step.
Right.
Because we are more regulated today than we were in the 80s or 90s.
No question. Not just associations, but you guys are regulated more than ever as well.
Correct.
DBPR suddenly put the spotlight on managers as well. You got education, they warning you about, taking money from accounts, from not giving access to records. All of a sudden they put a lot of pressure on CAMs, but CAMs have a very difficult job. Period. They really got to work hard now.
They do.
It's not like it was.
I think managers need to change the mentality of just being managers to being business managers, and understanding that they need to run the day-to-day, but they have to educate board members. They should not be scared of telling board members what they think, as long as they're able to provide with the analytics for the board members to understand where they're coming from. I always say, board of directors, they're there to direct. They're there to make the big decisions. And managers, which is what we are, we're there to manage those directives. So you give us the directive, we manage it for you.
Let us manage.
Let us manage it, correct. And it all comes down to communication. Aligning with what you're looking to accomplish as a board member, establishing what that looks like so there's no ambiguity, no assumptions, and letting your management entity do the work. I think sometimes board members start off a relationship where there's a lack of trust. I always say that it should be the opposite. If you start a relationship with a management entity, start with trust, and then allow the management company to show you what they bring to the table. Because there's a reason that you chose them.
Sure. So it's unfortunate, you know, we see in the papers every once in a while or on the internet, there's some manager that walked off with a ton of money. You know, it happened in Aventura, it happened, you know, in Hammocks, you know. Well, no, Hammocks, the manager didn't do, was a board member. But we have managers every once in a while that wind up, you know, getting caught. But I always said, and my board members once in a while as well. But lawyers get caught taking money too. Doctors get caught overbilling Medicare, and I don't think any one any one profession or, you know, or being a board member is worse than any of the others. There's thieves in all industries.
I think like any industry, where are the guardrails? Where's the accountability? If a manager is doing something that they shouldn't be doing, where is the supervision and the guardrails to ensure that something is brought up to the surface so it could be addressed before it gets worse? And I think that's the part where self-managed communities, they don't have those guardrails. They're relying on one individual. That individual is basically holding themselves accountable. And again, I'm not knocking it, but
that's a great point. And I think I would agree with you. Communities that have an in-house manager rather than a company, I'm thinking about all the various cases in my head. And I think I would agree absolutely, wholeheartedly, that over the years, the communities that robbed from the most are the ones that had an in-house manager that they relied on forever, that they thought was a wonderful person, you know, great, that would smile every morning, you know, put up a pot of coffee, you'd go in and say hello. That was the manager that you loved, right? And who would ever have thought that this manager would steal from that community? And the truth is, that's probably the one that was stolen from the most. Good point.
And look, there's managers that are self-managed communities, and they have high standards, and obviously they don't stand to that level. But at the same time, what I've noticed is that when those managers leave, not only is the association in chaos because they're used to this one individual doing everything, there's no process written down, there's no SOPs. But then at the same time, when that individual leaves, that's when you start seeing everything that was not working properly. And you know, sometimes
what kind of accounting system were they using? Exactly, it's outdated. It's from the 1980s.
We didn't know we didn't have any cash. We thought we were fine. And
where is the petty cash that's been deducted for the last 30 years?
We've been running deficits for 4 years. We haven't filed our audits in 2. Those things come to the surface.
The reserves have never been funded.
We've been commingling funds. Our bank accounts are not FDIC insured. We're not sweeping. There's certain things that board members don't know, and they shouldn't have to know. I mean, it's good that they take the time to do so, but they don't know, and that's where the company comes in and says, this is the different things that we recommend for you to do to protect yourself.
That's great. Let's do this. Let's take our first break of the hour. Guys, let us know how you feel about management companies or communities that are self-managed with absolutely no management company at all, or a community with an in-house manager. What works the best? Taking your calls, 917-452-9378. Again, what's the number there, Rob? 717? I keep saying 917 because it's Brooklyn, right? 717-452-9378. Again, 717-452-9378. We'll be back right after this.
The roof is new. Drainage is not in our scope. That's plumbing.
So whose problem is it then?
When multiple contractors are involved, problems can fall through the cracks. HCMC manages the entire project so nothing gets overlooked. One team protecting the whole project.
There are very large management companies and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
All right, welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs. We're chatting with Santiago Martin Grossy, Director of Association Operations at Affinity Management Services. And Rob, how about we take the first call?
Yeah, let's go to our first call. We got John.
Hey, John.
Hey, Eric. Good morning, Santiago. Good morning.
Morning, morning.
Hey, okay, just a quick comment, and Eric, just two quick questions. You know I'm fast on this stuff.
Sure.
Okay, I was a board president 33 years ago at a condo, and compared to today, it was absolutely simple back then.
Of course.
Imagine being able to build it out with your name on it.
But I got to tell you, and your guest hit on one of the problems. One of the problems is that you have people that volunteer and they show up at meetings and they vote. They do no research. They've never read the rules and regulations. They've never read the governing documents. And when I go to the meetings, the board members are sitting at the head table. Not one of them has a copy of the rules and regulations nor the governing documents.
Yep.
And then the other thing that Santiago hit on, what happens is the board aligns with the condo board, with the board. And what ends up happening...
John, you mean the management company aligns with the board?
Yeah, aligns with the board. Okay, I'm sorry, yes. And what happens is you end up in an adversarial relationship where it's the residents versus the management company and vice versa. Just this week, we have a portfolio manager that was brought in by our board president. Okay, he puts out an email that says clotheslines are strictly prohibited in our community.
Yeah.
We're an HOA. There's a federal statute
that allows for clotheslines.
Right to dry that allows clotheslines. There's a state statute, I believe it's 720.034, and that it says you cannot outright ban clotheslines.
Yeah.
So I wrote on, I says, listen, you need to send a corrective email because not only are you wrong there, okay, but you might be dabbling in the unlicensed practice of law at the same time.
John, can I stop you there for a second? Because you led us into something really, really important. And I want to talk about it with Santiago. Managers have to be careful because I will tell you that over the years, John is right. Managers have to know when, hey, pick up the phone, ask the lawyer, right?
Yes.
Why put yourself in trouble? Why put yourself out there? The board may be pushing the manager to do it one way, but do you teach your staff, wait a minute, guys, if you feel uncomfortable, if you think this requires a legal answer, stop. You have to tell your board that.
Absolutely. It's you have the regular rules and regulations. No parking on grass. Don't do this. Don't do that. Those are the easy stuff. Right. Anything that is more complex or something new that has come up, you always want to check with the attorney. And I think I strongly believe that it's the manager's duty to educate the board when they're getting directives from the board that they don't agree with, where they're saying, hold on, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I see. I strongly recommend that we speak to our association attorney because we don't want to send something out that is going to put us in a predicament.
Sure. Even if they tell you, well, we don't want to spend money on the attorney, I think the managers have to say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer your question because it's the unlicensed practice of law.
Correct. And that's the problem that I see a lot nowadays is the managers are scared for job security or for whatever reason to have those discussions with the board, to educate them, to send them an article, to say, you know what?
But let me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's now more important than ever because I will tell you, if you grabbed, even attorneys who are board certified in this area, we will have disputes about how reserves work, how mandatory inspections work, how mandatory repairs work. The law has become so complicated. Inspection of records. We can argue amongst ourselves, the lawyers that practice in this every day, And never mind that managers should therefore be able to refer that matter to the attorney without pressure from the board saying, no, 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 we don't want to pay for it. Sorry, you have to pay for it. You know, and I think managers, I know it's difficult for your managers. I get it. But they got to stand tough.
But you said something very important. Yes, board members need to pay for that professional service that an attorney's providing the same way that they have to pay for a professional manager.
Sure.
But the payment for that service is a lot less than actually doing something against the law.
Of course.
That will put them in a predicament.
Right.
Because not only do they have their fiduciary responsibility where their insurance coverage will say, listen, we're not covering you. That was not by any...
If it's an intentional act.
Exactly. So there's so many things that they have to take into account. And I think the manager's job is not to tell the board what to do, is to educate them as to what they should do, what direction they should take.
Call the lawyer. I'm not saying that to create business, quite frankly. I'm telling you because there's a Supreme Court opinion out there from Florida that lists the things that managers can do, managers can't do. Don't practice law without a license. Don't be afraid to tell the board that, hey, sorry, you got to ask the attorney on this one. I can't give you an answer. And John, that's really important.
Very important.
It was great.
And if I could just get to my real quick question, please.
Yeah, sure.
Now, you know, because I ask questions and I say things like, hey, you know, you can't put out an email like that and you need to correct it. I'm a community bad guy, of course. So in an effort to impugn and besmirch my character, the board president at the last meeting says, by the way, this is not on the agenda. This just came out of nowhere. Okay, Joe Blow, board member down on the end there, you know, he's got 10 police reports against you. So now she's entered that into the public record. Being that that's been entered into the public record, I want to make a official records request to see those 10 police reports. Would I be correct in doing so?
You're saying not from the condo association. You'd have to get that from the police department.
Well, he would have he has copies of 10 police reports against
him. Okay.
He's a board member. I can ask for them, correct?
If they're storing them as an official record of the association, you know, and you can make the argument that it's related to the operation of the association, you have a board member who actually said and is accusing you of having 10 police reports, then yeah, I'd make the argument that it's an official record and you should be able to get it. Okay? John, I apologize, but we got a lot of people waiting to call, okay?
Thanks again, Eric. It's Santiago. Great information, guys.
Thank you so much, John. Who else we got?
Let's see. Next caller is Maria from Fort Lauderdale.
How are you, Maria?
Hi, Eric. Hi. So I called a couple of weeks ago and I discussed with you the fact that my certified mail was not accepted at the management company. So I sent a letter requesting certain documents. It's not a PO plate, not a PO box. It's an actual building with someone that was supposed to be manning the desk. There was no one there. So the UPS just left. I did try to track it, and what happens now is that the tracking is for the recipient to request the mail to be brought back another date. It's not for the sender. So I went to the post office and talked to the mailman, and he said this is happening quite often, that management companies are refusing to sign the certified, the little tab from the post office for certified mail.
Right.
So
okay.
That's happening.
Let me throw that out at Santiago.
That's create a problem.
Yeah. Do you ever get instructions from a community that says, "Hey, don't sign any certified mail for us" or anything like that?
No, not at all. We take everything. Even when mail comes to our corporate office for one of our associations, we sign off on it and yeah.
Yeah, the only time like that issue comes up in the law is when a process server comes in and tries to serve my firm, right? And if I say, no, we don't represent them anymore, sorry, we're not accepting service of process. But to answer your question now, when you send that letter out, the bottom line is even if it's refused, that set the clock. You're good, okay? If you can show that it was refused, if you want to take it now to arbitration, you are good.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay, well, that I did not know, so that's helpful.
Yes.
I also just want to make a quick comment. You're talking about board meetings and all that. I was on a board many years ago. I felt that they were much more well-structured, easier to, everyone had it contributed to the agenda.
Right.
Each board member was able to discuss their concerns, and each one took their turn. Now it's like kind of haphazard. Everybody just talks out of turn, and nothing is structured. And I also have noticed that I have 2 properties, one of which I'm on the board now. It seems like both properties, the management companies kind of kowtow to the president. I've noticed this a lot.
Yeah.
And if the president wants something done, if the management company doesn't agree with them and refuses to do whatever or has a different opinion, that management company is fired. And in one of the properties, 4 management companies were fired within 4 years.
Right.
Now we're on the 5th management company, and now this management company knows of all of this, so they're kowtowing to the president.
Right.
The board directors have say and things, and they give their opinion, but it's really not really accepted by the president.
Right.
So whatever the president wants, she gets, no matter what.
All right, let's stop you there for a second.
So,
Let's stop you there for a second. I'm sure you've dealt with that over the years. I know I have, where the president thinks, they're actually God, and you're going to listen to me, and you have to tell them, wait a minute, you're only one vote of 3 or of 5 or of 7 or of 9. Does that happen in your dealings? Yeah,
it does. And I would say, and I hate to say this, but it's a problem that arises because of the other board members.
They allow it to happen.
They allow it to happen.
Yes. Right.
And there's also fault on the management side, because again, we need to educate and we need to explain. We need to bring the attorney involved.
Yeah.
So
well, those 4 prior board management companies, they probably did the right thing. They didn't want to listen to the president. And that's why they got fired, and they did the right thing.
They were all pretty decent property managers, too. I liked all of them. So
right.
It's really a shame what happened.
So I'm really quite fast. I just want to go back to how you started the conversation. You said that, years ago you were on a board, and we kind of all got along, and even if we disagreed with each other, it was in a nice way. And I think that's how we've become as a society, and quite frankly. And it's very unfortunate. And we can't debate anything anymore in a nice way. We can't talk about things, and we can't disagree with each other in a nice way. It's got to result, in absolute chaos. And it's very unfortunate.
I think
this is where we are today. All right, Eric.
Well, thank you for the call. Much appreciated. We got to take our bottom of the hour break, running very late today because a lot of good things to say. Keep the calls coming. 717-452-9378. 717-452-9378. Back right after this.
In South Florida, the transition from bright sunshine to heavy rain and hurricanes can take a toll on your property's exterior and structural integrity. Cracked stucco, spalled concrete, they're more than eyesores. They can signal deeper issues. Now, with new Florida laws involving structural integrity requirements, we want to help you meet your milestone inspections and maintain the durability and beauty of your building. Since 2004, PD has been the trusted expert in structural concrete restoration, painting, and waterproofing for condominiums and commercial properties. Visit pd-concrete.com or call us today.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new. By means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
All right, welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs. We're with Santiago Martin Grossy from Affinity. A lot of great calls, and as a matter of fact, let's go back to the phones.
Yeah.
Or actually, you know what, Rob? You spoke to me during the break about an question or comment, I should say, on the YouTube board, and it's kind of bothering you. Let's tackle it.
Yeah, I think one of the comments is if you receive kickbacks from the sponsors.
If Eric receives kickbacks, what a question, huh?
And I thought about it. I think that the natural inclination is that we bring on vendors here, and maybe there's some sort of agreement with that, but there's not. We created this show, the sponsors in particular. We surround ourselves with the best vendors in South Florida so that when we recommend them, you don't get screwed. And
Exactly.
so when Eric has a need for a vendor because he represents communities, he could feel comfortable saying, go call these people because they know what they're talking about. They have a proven track record. That's the benefit. That's the value.
Of course. I think you said it better than I could. And no, I don't get a kickback from anybody on this show if I refer them an association client. It's an insulting question, quite frankly. But, can't blame anybody for asking a question, right? Bottom line. All right. So I think we answered it. Thank you, Rob. How about we go to the next call?
Indeed. So to our next caller, we have Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, everybody. I got two questions. First question. Is electronic voting mandatory for election purposes?
Is
Any
what
election
mandatory? I'm
in
sorry. Wait. I apologize. I didn't hear what you said.
Electronic voting.
Is electronic voting mandatory? No, electronic voting is not mandatory. Now you can have, I think, if 25% of the people in the community ask for it, they petition for it, then they must have it. And a board still can pass a resolution requiring electronic voting. But if you want it, you're in the community, your board won't do it, then 25% of the people can get together and sign a petition, and then it's automatic. You have to have it. Okay? What? Still there?
Yes. Thank you so much, Eric.
Sure.
I got another question to ask. Our building is 1972, 400 units.
Wow.
Front door to the units. They're old. They're not fire rating anymore because lots of people changed the locks on themselves. Can we change the front doors without getting 75% of the votes?
Can you change the front doors without getting 75% of the votes? Now, I don't know what your governing documents say. Do the governing documents say that the association is responsible for the doors? Does the governing document that the association is responsible for the doors? Okay.
For the front of the door. Inside of the door, our bylaws are 1972.
Okay.
So it says that outside of the door belongs to the association.
Well,
inside of the same door belongs to the owner.
Okay, but the door itself, you asked me if you could change the door itself. And again, it all depends what the documents say. If you can interpret the documents in a manner that says that the association is responsible for repair and replacement of the doors, then yes, simply by a board vote to purchase new doors, right? Then the board can do it. If it's going to require a special assessment to do it, then you're going to prepare a special assessment notice with at least 14-day notice, put it in the mail, post it. You're going to post it with the contract now to buy the doors because that's what the statute now requires. And you're going to change the doors in all the units.
You might want to add there that if there's an alteration to the appearance of the doors, that might require something else.
Yes,
right?
that's different. If it's a complete alteration, it's a good point. If it's a total alteration to the doors, different colors, then yes, then you would need a vote of the members. I didn't realize that's what you were asking. Good catch, Santiago. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if they don't make hold on 1 second. Now, if they don't make that kind of door anymore because it's old, you can't get it, then obviously, you don't need the vote. But if you're going to change the color scheme for the door, then yes, you're going to need the vote. You're putting back the same color, you won't, nothing to worry about. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Can owners challenge bylaws? 400 units, 280 are the tenants. It's hard to get 75% of the votes.
Yeah.
Can we challenge our bylaws and declarations?
You can change your bylaws and declarations, just take one vote. And the vote should be, if you would like, to change the governing documents going forward with a vote of a majority, period. But you're going to need that one vote one time at least to get that 75% because that's what your governing documents say. No way around it, okay? Thanks for the call, Rob. We got to keep them going.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to our next caller. It's Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
How are you?
Good. I have a question. I'm a real estate broker, and I also have my CAM license.
Right.
I got it through COVID because I was bored, didn't know else what to do.
Right.
I haven't used it. I live in a community that are all villas, but we are governed by the condo 718.
Okay.
Would I be able to manage the company, the association, or would that be a conflict of interest because I'm a resident?
Absolutely not. Wouldn't be a conflict of interest. Can you manage the community? Absolutely you can. At least that's the position I take. You can manage a community where you live. Obviously, when the vote comes up to hire you or fire you, right, you're not going to take a position on that. You're going to be out of the room. You know, certainly you can't vote on those issues if it affects, you know, your ability to run your company. But can you actually manage the community? Sure. You have to ask yourself if that's what you want, however. I will tell you that when I was a young man, basically having just passed the bar, I got hired by the community where I lived to be the attorney for the community. And of course, the first time I filed the lien against somebody in the community because they weren't paying their assessments, I come out to my car and my car is scratched and keyed. So think about if you want to do that. Okay, that's all I can tell you.
I would.
Yeah, go right in.
Yeah, I would also add, you know, depending on Barbara, what your role is now, because if you are a board member, there are steps that they need to take to disclose and make that all public to the owners.
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely.
Yeah.
You should disclose it. No question about it.
No, I just moved here in March, but they need a lot of help here.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm, you know, going through all this and I'm doing all the continuing education for my real estate license and for a CAM license. I feel that the state needs to change their education synopsis for the CAM license because it is 14 hours, and now I'm going to go manage a multi-million-dollar community and have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can't say
and that
I disagree
education should also go for the board members.
Yep.
So they're both on the same page.
Yeah. Well, I know an attorney that tried to get some mandatory education, at least for board members, because it didn't even require any. So, you know, thank God we were able to push that through. I think it's ridiculous that HOA members need more than condo members, but well, it doesn't make any sense at all. Condo members should need more than HOA members, quite frankly.
It's a fine line.
Right.
I mean, you have.
But I understand your point. I will tell you that every year that, and we spoke about already, managers do have to go through legal update credits, and I'm sure, Santiago, you're not going to take a new manager, right? You know, who's never managed a community before, and put him in a 400-unit condominium tower and say, here, go manage it. Good luck.
Absolutely not. What I would say is that there's some improvements on the state side as to what they should require for managers. But at the same time, that's where a professional management company comes in, where they have the resources and the training programs that help.
There's in-house programs.
At least for us, I can't speak for anybody else. We have a training and development manager. We're constantly developing new trainings for the managers, making sure that they're up to date with all the regulations and that they understand everything that they need to do from day-to-day operations. And it's a constant follow-up. Yeah, it's a learning process. You never stop. You're always learning something different. Every community brings its own mix of challenges and nuances that the manager has to prepare for. The manager is getting paid for that. The board is not. So it's a fine line when you're putting all this new structure on board members to take 4 hours, 8 hours of classes. Where do you find the balance?
You know, here's what I found. Okay, so when I teach the class, and you know, so many people who are watching now have taken my class. You know what I love? We put out a what's the word I'm looking for? You know, a sheet to where everybody tells us what they like, what they didn't like. A survey, right? I'm getting older and sometimes. So we send out these surveys for people to take, and one of the questions is, you know, what did you like most and what did you like least? And you know, sometimes what people say, what they like least, and I just taught for 4 hours. I stood in that place for 4 hours. They sat there for 4 hours, and you know what they wrote that they liked least? It's too short. Why is it only 4 hours? Okay? So you have people that love to learn, board members that want to learn, and then you have people that say, I've been doing this for 25 years. Don't tell me what I need to know. And that's the person that really needs to take the course. That's
the problem.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we live in a world where education is everywhere. So you don't have to stop in one place. There's so many open sources where board members could take the time to self-educate, right?
Of course.
I mean, you always rely on your attorney, your management companies, the same way that you would rely on your plumber, your roofer, your engineer.
Great point. Rob, how many shows do we have now on our website alone on various different topics that unit owners can go learn?
Oh my gosh, hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
We're now at the point where there's hundreds of shows on various different topics. So you're right.
Thousands of hours.
Thousands, incredible, right?
Yeah.
So it's awesome. You're 100% right.
And our YouTube channel is the same. It's
same thing.
Available to the public.
Great. It's great. All right, let's do this. Let's take our final break of the hour. Keep the calls coming in. 717-452-9378. 717-452-9378. Back right after this.
When you need a plumber you can trust, you want to feel safe, comfortable, and never awkward. At Better Call Steve, we fix leaks, not expose cheeks. No crack plumbing, just solid professional work. From kitchens to bathrooms, our team shows up clean, respectful, and gets it done right the first time. So if you've got a leak, a clog, or a drain that needs attention, call Steve today for a free drain inspection. Better Call Steve, 954-50-STEVE.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
All right, welcome back to the last segment of Condo Craze and HOAs. And Rob, I see the board is just stacked up. Who do we got?
It is on fire.
Yes.
Let's see. Over to Joanne in Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joanne.
Or Joan.
Hi. Okay. I totally agree with management. Our place has been mismanaged for years because they took it all into their own hands. Now,
Well, hold on. When you say, wait, hold on. When you say that they put it in their own hands, do you mean you no longer have a management company? Is that what you're saying?
No, we've got a management company, and because I became treasurer, and when exactly what Mr. Infinity said over there is that we can't do everything. And I realized that every 2 seconds that we needed to know something, we were spending money on lawyers. So in the end, it's like, okay, what is this, at $400 an hour to get someone like, anyways, you brought in a management company, which I'm very, very happy with. And I'm finding, like your previous caller said, all of a sudden the board changed and he's turning on the other direction. So when we hired him, and he's not, I don't know if we have to put all the construction project that started 1.6 million became 34 million.
Wow.
I scrutinized every invoice as a treasurer, and I found, and now I gave everything to legal. But now I'm asking for the change orders to be put on the website. We're not getting any change orders putting back on the website. We're not getting everything, and that kind of information, which I'm very disappointed with the management company. When we hired them, they told us we didn't need an assistant. So we had a regular, we had the project manager. We did a recall. As soon as we gave the project manager accepted the recall, the board decided to, well, somehow he got fired.
Wait, stop. I don't know what you mean the project manager accepted the recall. What do you mean by that?
The construction
Send it
manager?
to the lawyers, and at the same time, we gave it to the property manager.
Okay.
To accept this recall. And when he did, and he talked to the main person in the America's management, and they said, yeah, you could accept it. As soon as that got accepted, somehow the next day he was dismissed. So you tell me. My problem right now is they told us we did not need an assistant manager. We bring an assistant manager, fine, to help that project manager. So we have 2 people working in there. Now, this week, all of a sudden, we are being charged $95 for work orders. So, in other words, if I ask them to go check my AC unit, if it's working well, we do have maintenance. We're paying.
Wait, hold on, slow down. Are you telling me that the management company is charging you $95 to review change orders? I wasn't sure what you were saying.
For work orders. So in other words, no, they're not putting the change orders on the website, which I'm very upset
I understand.
about,
Okay, but what are they charging you $95 for? I don't get it. And you got to get to the point quick.
In other words, if I call and I say, could someone from maintenance go check if my AC is working at the moment, just by putting that work order there, apart from being charged the maintenance, we are being charged $95, which goes to the management company.
Okay, so let's stop you right there. So when the board hires a management company, sometimes, and you tell me how this works with Affinity, sometimes the maintenance staff in that community becomes employees of the management company itself, right? Right.
No, we kept our management. We kept our maintenance. It's all our people.
So they're still working for you?
Our people.
Okay. So for some reason,
they're on our payroll.
Okay.
It's the assistant manager that we hired.
Right.
So now we put in a work order, going through the website.
I hear you. And that assistant manager is charging you $95.
3 months ago.
Okay. Got it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's
for the assistant manager is getting $95 to call the maintenance man to say go over and check something.
I mean, it's kind of hard to really come up with some sort of validated answer to that. There's a lot of convolution because technically, if a homeowner is requesting for their AC unit to be looked at, that typically falls under the owner's responsibility.
Of course, right.
The management company or the building, the association, wouldn't go and address that unless there was a leak that was affecting other units or drywall.
Absolutely, sure.
So
typically, you have one of those companies that do, everything. A lot of big condominiums will sign up with. I forgot the names of the companies. But they're companies that will do your AC, they're companies that'll do your sink and your toilets, anything breaks, we will come out.
The management company should have a list of preferred vendors that have been vetted, that the insurance is up to date, that homeowners could call to make it easy for them.
Right.
But when it comes to an association going into somebody's private unit and fixing a component, I would argue that that's a no-no because you're putting the association under liability because if something breaks with that, first of all, most of the time, the people that work for the association, the maintenance individuals, they're not licensed individuals in the sense that they're not licensed electricians, they're not licensed plumbers. If they fix something,
that's a whole other topic we can do, right?
Another day, but it's
and that's why this show is going on for 17 years because it's a never-ending list of topics where the management company and or the board.
We'll need to come back for that.
Yes, have unlicensed people going up and fixing the roof.
Correct.
Where the roof needs to be replaced or repaired by somebody with a roof license. But that's a whole other issue.
Correct.
Rob, what else we got?
Let's go to the next caller. Hang on. It's Jerry.
Jerry.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Jerry from Delray Beach.
Hi, Jerry.
Happy Father's Day. Thanks for
Today
being
is Father's Day or next week's Father's Day? Next weekend. Okay, you'll call back
next week. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, early. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So the reason I am calling is in regards to our association had what they call workshop on Friday, which is where they have a majority of the board meeting and having a discussion about the HUD memo of May 22nd.
Okay.
And in that meeting, they were talking about all sorts of things. Now, the HUD memo, as we know, is just a memo. Laws still exist in Florida for ESAs and also federally. But in that conversation, it was, they do not allow any of the owners to speak at workshops because they're not board meetings, though my understanding is you have a majority. It's a board meeting.
Right, that's
okay,
right.
Fine. The president states that only questions to the association's lawyer can be sent by the property manager and he.
Okay.
And if you send a question as a board member to the association's attorney, the attorney will not answer you.
Okay. All right. So this happens all the time. Let me answer two of your questions, okay? Number one, you're right. If a quorum of the board gets together to discuss business, it's a meeting. End of story. Period. It's a meeting. It's not a workshop. I don't know where that phrase came into being, but at some point in Florida, it came into being. You get a quorum of the board together. You have a 5-member board. 3 show up for the meeting and talk shop. It's a meeting. I agree with you, 100%. The HUD memo that she's talking about is changes by HUD, federal government now, that basically says if someone denies you, or if your association denies you of your right to have an emotional support animal, the government won't do any more of these pre-suit procedures that you can normally do with service animals. They will only allow you to do that with service animals. In other words, you can make a complaint with HUD and HUD will investigate. They will not do that anymore with emotional support animal complaints, probably because they got 20 million of them, right? So now you have to go basically right to court, okay? And what else? You had a third question.
The third was about the filtering of questions to the association's
Right, okay,
attorney.
right. Filtering the questions to the association's attorney. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. That happens all the time. 2 things. Let's talk about it as a management company, right? Is it a good idea, right, to have every single board member have the right to deal with your manager every single day? Or is it a good idea to have one designated representative from the board? You know, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. You definitely want to select a liaison, someone that typically has more time than the others to be the voice for the rest of the board. When you have multiple individuals giving you different directives, it makes it very difficult to manage expectations. Especially since they might not always be aligned with their expectations. One board member may want one thing, another one may want another, and they're really putting that manager in a tough position because they're trying to manage expectations, and then that's where you have the break in communication. So yeah, definitely you want one source of communication, the same way that I would argue that you can have multiple people reaching out to the attorney. It's just not price prohibited in many senses.
If every single member of the board is going to be able to write me, to call me, to email me, they're going to get a big legal bill at the end of the month. That's just the way it is. So it's not uncommon for a board to pass a resolution that says, okay, there's only 1 or 2 people that are allowed to go to the attorney in this regard. Now, even if they have that, if one board member sends me an email and there's something really alarming to me, and I go, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell is going on over there? Even though the procedure is to not allow that board member to get in contact with me, oh, I'm going to read that and I'm going to do something about that email, okay? So I hope that answers your question. Rob, I think we'll take one. Thank you so much for calling. Rob, I think we'll take one more and then call it a day.
Yeah, actually, there's two comments, I guess.
Yes.
So the first one is Affinity has a financial guarantee, right? There's some sort of
Yes.
financial. What can you explain that to the audience?
Yeah, of course. So we, when we meet with different, we like to call board members our partners because that's how we go into the relationship. There's the biggest issue that typically comes up is we don't get the financials on time.
Right.
We're 2 months behind. That's a big problem for us because that's how board members make their decisions. You make your decisions based on the cash flow available and what you're spending in each of your categories, and hopefully you have a manager that is going over that with you on a month-to-month basis. So what we established was a financial guarantee. We provide you your financials on a set date through the month. And if we don't give them to you, we guarantee X amount of dollars as a credit for not turning them in.
Fantastic. That's how important financials are, obviously.
Correct. And we're putting our money where our mouth is. Not only are we talking about it with our partners, but we're also saying if we don't meet our obligation, we're going to credit you X amount of dollars.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. All right. How about we take one more call?
Yeah, and just one more. I guess this is a comment from the chat. Is that they're asking for you to describe like a community. What's the requirement for a community to work with Affinity?
Well, we go through multiple steps. We call it a discovery meeting where we try to learn about our potential, future relationship with our partners. What are their challenges? Why are they looking to make a change? So we try to gather as much information as possible to see if our product and services actually fit what they're looking for and can we actually solve their issues. A lot of the time, management companies, they say you have 400 doors, we're going to charge you X amount per door. We do the opposite. We try to understand the human component of it. What's the board struggling with? What do you want to see how we could help? We manage all types of associations, condos and HOAs, from Dade County all the way to Port St. Lucie. But the first step is really understanding what the board is struggling with to see how our solutions fit into that model.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Rob, let's call it the day.
Let's call it the day. Let's go to, they didn't leave their name, but they have a
Okay.
Beat your life.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Dominic?
Dominic.
Hey, Dominic, how are you?
Good morning, Eric. Wonderful show.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job, and you're a great attorney.
Thank you, Dominic. Really appreciate it.
Excel.
Thank you very much. Hey, and I know you bought my book and read it. I know that.
Yes, for a fact. You educate with entertainment. Always.
Thank you.
My point that I want to bring out, you're welcome, Eric, is I'm a licensed CAM. I do so many webinars. I go to as many seminars as possible.
Yep.
I'm now trying to take it to the next step, CMCA certification. So I got involved with CAI. And my real question is trying as much as possible to attain as much information. I know I could never be in your shoes at all, but I also have attained you as our attorney. Being that my condo, the building has 32 units, and I'm trying to stay on top of as much information as possible. With respect to a management company or not having a management company, well, either one of the two of you kind of, I would not be insulted, say I'm in a safe area, or a management company would be a great help
all right. So,
in my position.
Okay. So Dominic, I know Dominic, you want to talk about a guy that really tries to educate himself on a lot of different issues.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you, Dominic. Appreciate it. And I guess Dominic is saying, well, what about me? We don't have a manager in a small community, and I am a smart guy. I take all the classes. Do we need a manager? Thank you, Dominic. Do we need a manager in a small 32-unit building. Now, I know you guys won't do portfolio management.
Correct.
Right. So portfolio management is management where you'll have a manager who doesn't have to sit there all day, but maybe a manager that'll come by once a week for an hour or two, and they're off-site. And maybe that's something that you want to look into. But, you know, if you feel you could manage a 32-unit building, you know, maybe you can. If you're, you know, if you're a CAM, you're actually CAM. So, and again, and you know, and you want to just keep getting educated. So maybe he can pull it off. He might be able to pull it off. I'm not saying he can't pull it off.
Absolutely, and look, and it's tough because when you're 32 units, you're price prohibited.
Yes, it's very hard.
Very hard.
Yes.
They have their license, so technically they know more than those that don't.
Right. Technically, he's being managed by a CAM. You know, he's a president.
Right. I would say that there's a difference between learning and doing. When you do is really when you learn and you understand the processes. I'm not saying that they need to go with a management company, and again, that's not any advice whatsoever. It depends on their situation, but they should definitely have different guardrails. Via maybe quarterly meetings with their attorney to make sure that the decisions that they're doing are following. So I would just, that would be one recommendation.
Because Dominic's not cheap about it. Dominic's smart. So if there's going to be something, thank you, Dominic. If there's something major going on, he picks up the phone and calls and speaks about it first.
He's already 99% above everybody else at that point. It's just because educating yourself is very important. I mean, when you take your license, you're learning about the different statutes, but it doesn't teach you how to post an agenda. It doesn't teach you how to do certain things that you need to do. But as long as a self-managed community or in this case Dominic has the guardrails for protection, I think he's in a good place.
Absolutely, Dominic, way to go. Okay.
Well, I'll just say one final thing. Is that I've done many webinars where Affinity was part of that webinar. And I always, at the end, felt informed. So thank you both for answering my call and for the professional advice given to me.
Thank you so much, Dominic. You be well. What a nice call to end it, huh?
Very
so
nice.
Dominic said he watches your webinars as well.
Yeah.
Smart guy. He goes to anything this gentleman could learn. He wants to learn. He wants to better his community.
Yeah.
Not every board member is like that.
No,
you know,
he's actually going out of his way to get the information. And we were talking about it earlier. There's so much free content out there.
Of course.
That the board members could listen to, and then all that information that they're taking in, they reach out to professionals like yourself, and they ask questions.
Absolutely.
And,
smart guy.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power.
And knowledge is power. That's the best statement you can make.
And I would say,
that's why we do the show. No?
And I would say this: the big difference between 20 years ago and today is just the complexity of how the industry is.
It is so complicated. If you're in a condo that's 3 stories or more now, your job has quadrupled in what it used to be. You know, since the terrible incident at the Champlain Towers. Your job as a board member, if you're 3 stories or more, forget it. It's just a different thing than it was 10 years ago. Absolutely, you know, 5-6 years ago.
From the compliance to the costs associated with all the changes.
The money you're dealing with, the budgets you're dealing with, the complexities of construction projects. You know, we spoke about it at the beginning of the show. That's how the show started, and that's how we're ending. Right? It's a totally different job than what it used to be. Let me thank you, sir, for being a guest on the show today. Really great show. It moved very, very well. And how do we get in touch with you? That's the most important thing.
You could email me, smg@managedbyaffinity.com, or I'm only a phone call away, 305-479-8386.
All right, thank you so much. And if you need legal help off the air, you can give Glazer and Sachs a call, 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112 during the week. And of course, we'll see you next Sunday, which we now learned is Father's Day. Yes, I will be here in the morning. We'll do a show. We'll have some fun. And then you'll go out and hang out with all the great dads out there. Okay, so everybody have a wonderful, safe, healthy week, you and your families. And we'll see you again next Sunday on Condo Craze and HOAs. Go Knicks.
Same truth, same time, no smoke, no spin. See you next Sunday at 11 a.m. You've been watching Condo Craze and HOAs. Lights coming down, another hour gone. Hard truths, lines clearly drawn. Process matters, rules come first. Ignore them once, and things get worse. Read the rules, show up in phone. When mistakes happen, don't take it personal. That's how lawsuits fade instead of grow. That's how communities stay in control. We take the calls, we hear it all. Helping Floridians stand tall. Condos, HOs, every voice has a place. When you face it head on, chaos loses the race.